Míle mágaí. Gwini cór an gédal sias fircin fóilse rih goléir an tróna se go dtí áras an Uachtarán agus cuinn teachtas arm hinnas ar ma bhain céile saibhín go bhfuil go rá sibhis go bhfuil sibh an an fé linn. Agus tá súlám go bhfuil si bhain teanna bhas an trosse go dtí an áras mar hampla tá Jenny Medeireach speisialta unas gomeach na Gardanéis súile réglib agus há réon grad eile an fuirin atá I bhail an hospitality at Corafol gan Buigas Loeb. May I first of all say how welcome you all are to Áras an Uachtarán. Thank you, Baz, for that introduction. And you shouldn't be a bit worried. We've 6 children are never a challenge. But I should say that this time of the year it's a great pleasure to welcome people from different strands of Irish society. This is the first, as you have heard, of a set of 7 garden parties. Different ones will have indeed drawn different aspects of Irish society. It's a great opportunity for Sabine and I and others as well to see and to hear from people who are drawn from different circumstances. I should tell you that I was down looking. I want to say thank you to all of the entertainers who help us. I'll thank them properly in a moment. But looking around, going down to the gardens, for example, the dahlias are a bit late. We couldn't do anything about that. The peony roses are there in time. But the gardens are looked after by people who are very dedicated, who make a great effort to have them ready in time for the garden parties. I think as well as that, I get hundreds of letters during the year thanking me for the reception that people got when they come to the Áras. About 20,000 a year come through during the year, but they always mention the staff of the Áras, and not just the way that people were treated efficiently, but that's never enough. People are treated with great warmth, and not just courtesy, but a great hospitality. And all of what you have been enjoying today is made possible by year after year, and now over 7 garden parties in 2018 of the work of the staff of the Áras. So, míle buíochas don fuire. Now, Baz was saying that I'm the 9th president. Douglas de Hiada and Creevin Even came here 80 years ago. Now, let's be clear, the place was in bad shape. In fact, his wife didn't move to Áras an Uachtarán. She stayed in Roscommon for a while. And I think that later on this year, I will be celebrating the contribution to Ireland of Creevin Even and Dr. Douglas de Hiada. It's a very extraordinary contribution of someone from the Church of Ireland who living in Roscommon, a very distinguished scholar, at a time when, the end of the 19th century, when the Irish language was spoken by less than 10% of people under 15 years of age. He and others are responsible for just setting about saving the language. We are so fortunate now in these circumstances because in 1901 more people born in Ireland lived outside Ireland than at home, than on the island of Ireland, as a result of the famine, result of immigration. And as well as that, the language, as we would say in Irish, was Fish Labrie. So we will honour Douglas Hyde in 2018. I want to welcome all the families who have travelled from every corner of Ireland to be with us. And in a way, the house, the gardens and all of the rest of it come into their own when they're filled with the sounds of children, sounds of people of all ages. And in a way, the justification of all the hard work that goes into the gardens, this marquee itself, is the fun and the laughter and the pleasure that it gives us all. This is the 7th year that Sabine and I have welcomed Saronic, our citizens, in all of their diversity to Áras an Uachtaráin. And this year, it's interesting, as I mentioned, you know, that it's 8 years since Douglas Hyde moved in. It was the home before that of viceroys and governors general. But you will notice this year we have, in fact, honoured the signatories to the proclamation. We're sowing trees. The Barton family didn't want militaristic recall of Irish independence and Irish freedom. They wanted trees to be sown. There are trees in, for example, in Glenstall, but we have planted some trees. This is an initiative really driven on particularly by Sabina. We had a public sculpture exhibition, and there you will see Jar Conanini, the people's acorn, and that's going to be a permanent testament to our shared journey towards an inclusive republic. As a result of a public contest, public competition for a piece of sculpture in a garden setting, Rachel Joint was the unanimous choice of the group that we had evaluating the different submissions. And you will be the first people at the first garden party to have the opportunity of visiting the acorn. And as well as that, you will see it was done in conjunction with a wonderful poet who they visited schools, and the children gave their pencils, which are in fact now bronzed, and in it, of course, is a time capsule, but the pencils themselves are carrying messages of the kind of Ireland that the children hoped would be could come into being during the future. And then our most recent celebration is the Plough and the Stars, which you will see, again with the cooperation of a man who donated the plough, and John Behan, sculptor, Office of Public Works, and of course the Foundry, all combined to our other installation across from the acorn is in fact the Plough and the Stars, celebrating the 1913 lockout. When you take it all together, you will realise in a way that if I was the 9th president, the legacy of 9 presidents of Ireland should be reflected in the gardens and in the sculpture as much as our long imperial legacy. So we're hoping, in fact, that these are acts of inclusion of an aesthetic kind. Now today, the first of the garden parties is a family garden party, and the contemporary Irish family in a diverse society comes in different shapes and sizes. I think that the modern day concept has become an ever more inclusive one, and we're all the better for it. And now it encompasses the many different forms that can make up loving and supportive family units. And our Ireland of the 21st century is a dynamic and cosmopolitan place, an Ireland that embraces the innovation, opportunity and creative energy that diversity brings. So today we're celebrating all forms of contemporary family life and tá Firkin Fáilte Roimh go léir go Áras an Uachtaráin. And I think myself that Douglas Hyde, the Céad Uachtaráin, would have welcomed that. But certainly I can tell you that Sabine and I very much welcome it, and I think therefore we hope we are going to have a wonderful time here. At the heart of every family unit must be love, care, acceptance, sharing of each other as both unique with our own gifts, but also as people who are relating to each other as family members. And that's the characteristic that all supportive families share, regardless of how they may differ or of what shape. So I want to ask too for a moment, because there are some families and representatives of them here from across our country who have been broken and devastated in recent weeks through the loss of loved ones in violent, tragic and deeply painful circumstances. And theirs is an unimaginable sadness to bear, and for their communities too this is a difficult time. So it's important that we send them our thoughts, our care and solidarity. The Republic of Ireland will be a republic when I think we regard it as a community, as I mentioned, as a community of vulnerabilities, where in fact the concerns of each are taken in as the concerns of all. And I know that there are some families represented here today who will have experienced in recent times, during the year or just before, some loss that they may be recalling. And to them too I offer solidarity, the solidarity of memory. This time of year, I think, above all else, and isn't it interesting, we made very strong representations about the weather to those that have control of such things, because we have a plan B. If the heavens opened and we can tell you where you're to go, but we don't need it today, thankfully. In fact, actually, over the 7 years, we've only had, I think, to retreat once, which I think that shows you what a prayerful gathering we have. Now, I think there's one of the great advantages of summer, when summer comes, is that it gives families an opportunity to draw their breath and relate to each other. I've just been coming back from the ILO, and really we don't all exist only to be useful. We exist as human beings full of curiosity about our own lives and the lives of others, and therefore all work and other things should be instrumental. And when the summer comes and we can anticipate holidays for schools and everything like that, it's a time to think about the fullness of life itself and what's really important and all that kind of thing. Now I want to thank our MC for this first of the series of garden parties. Baz Ashmawi is somebody who is really recognised from one of his most famous shows, 50 Ways to Kill Your Mammy. Now he's not handing out notes or handbooks this afternoon, so please don't approach him. Now, I want to thank our entertainers, Colin Maharagon, Derek Morrissey, Aidan Niwakin, our harpist Mary Kelly, our piper, the wonderful Matthew Acasada, and the bands we will hear from shortly in the marquee, Kjol Kuss, I Draw Slow, and Moxie. I should tell you, our bands play here over the last couple of years, and then after that, it's straight to the top. On all sides of the Atlantic. Our cellist, Katrina Atkinson, and our violinist, Rebecca Atkinson, whom I visited down in the garden, who plays so beautifully, the wonderful Block O'Gorman, the Havana Club Trio, Muchas gracias por el trio, otra vez, the Dublin Ukulele Collective, who played on the main lawn. Once again, thanks to all of the staff in the Oris for your hard work and good humour. And special thanks to the Office of Public Works, and not only for, as well, the household team are providing not only these wonderful treats, but for, as I've said, their cheerful disposition. All things which make this a special event. Now, the fact, as you will have heard already, and you will be hearing wonderful performers, the wonderful performers, you're hearing them at their best because of D. Rogers and his wonderful crew. That's him taking a bow there. He's an enormous demand. He has to be booked years in advance. Now, thank you as well for our friends in St. John of God's, who help us in preparing the invitations. The Gardaí, our civil defence colleagues, the volunteers from Mangashka, the tour guides, and all have worked so hard to make today, I know, what will be a happy and joyful occasion. Tasulam Gawen Sauradan Scott Again, August Gwim Gagragas Banak Tarini Wandan Sara, Stanokoicha, Acton Taki, Nablim Tolichiacht. I hope you have much fun and good times together, that today will enable you to add to your story of happy memories, and that they will remain you throughout your lives. And I hope that it will, in fact, actually will make the cut as well for the photo album. There's been an enormous increase in the number of people who are gathering images. Where will it end? But then again, you must occasionally take the responsibility of looking at some of them yourselves. Enjoy your day. When Chan of us and chalk us na gardini Sulia. When you get salt us and law. Agus big year or hoofness. Mille weeks as chirk, the hours and Uchtron, contus the car, let you race shot us in the garden parties. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Enjoy it all.